Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, could be articles, research, maybe even your own notes, and we really pull out the key insights, the goal, to get you well informed fast. Today, we're jumping into something really fascinating: quantum psychology, rewiring your brain for fearless decision making and unparalleled success. Our main source is Lesley Barlow's really groundbreaking book from 2025. It lays out this, well, pretty revolutionary way to think about our minds. So, our mission for this deep dive, we want to unpack how this approach works. It blends the latest in neuroscience with ideas usually found in quantum mechanics. Sounds complex, maybe, but the promise is a kind of blueprint for changing how you make decisions, how you face challenges, basically upgrading your brain's operating system. And let's face it, in today's world, all the change, the uncertainty, being adaptable, making bold decisions, that's not just nice to have, it's essential. So this deep dive should give you some practical tools. Okay, let's unpack this straight away. Quantum psychology. It sounds, well, intriguing, right? Maybe a little bit out there. What exactly is it? What's the big idea about our minds?
It really is revolutionary, yeah, because it connects these two fields you wouldn't normally put together: neuroscience, how the brain works, and these kind of weird principles from quantum mechanics. Barlow's main point is that our thoughts, feelings, decisions, they aren't fixed. They're not linear. They behave more like a quantum system, fluid, dynamic. It means your mind isn't just some pre-programmed computer. It's constantly reconfiguring itself. And crucially, you are the one observing, choosing. To really get it, Barlow talks about three key quantum ideas applied to the mind. First up is superposition.
Okay.
Usually we think a thought is either there or it isn't, right? On or off. But Barlow says, well, our mental states, fears, hopes, potential choices, they don't exist as just one definite thing until we focus. They're kind of in a cloud of possibilities, multiple potentials all at once, until your attention focuses and then one possibility becomes real. It's about being aware of those probabilities.
Holding multiple options in mind without jumping to one immediately.
Exactly. Then there's contextuality. This is huge. It says the outcome of a choice isn't just about the choice itself. It's massively shaped by the context, internal and external.
Like what?
Well, say you're deciding on a new job. Your mood at that moment, your underlying beliefs about yourself, even how the offer is presented. All that can shift the odds, the probability of it feeling like a good outcome. So it's not just what you decide, but how and where you decide it. Makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Okay, what's the third one?
Entanglement. This is about the deep links between thoughts, emotions, and actions. They're all tangled up. It's not just thought leads to feeling, leads to action. A negative thought can instantly snag your emotions, trigger self-doubt, which then messes with your decisions.
A domino effect.
Precisely. And understanding these tangles is the first step to untangling them and building better connections.
That idea of the mind being fluid and dynamic, it really hits home. It suggests our brains can literally change. So tell us about neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
How does Barlow link that biological fact to this quantum view?
Neuroplasticity is, well, it's the brain superpower. Absolutely fundamental to this. For ages, people thought the adult brain was pretty much fixed.
Right, like you couldn't teach an old dog new tricks.
Exactly. But we know now that's just wrong. The brain is constantly rewiring itself. Neuroplasticity is its ability to make new connections, reorganize existing ones, your whole life. It's how we learn anything new, how we adapt, how we recover from brain injuries even.
Okay, so it's a real physical process.
Totally real. The classic example is pretty amazing is the London taxi drivers. To get their license, they have to pass the knowledge.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Insane amount of memorization.
Insane is right, like 25,000 streets, thousands of landmarks.
Yeah.
And studies show this intense training physically enlarges their hippocampi.
Whoa, the memory part of the brain.
Yep, the bit crucial for spatial memory. It gets bigger. This isn't genetics, it's the training doing it. So Barlow argues every thought you have, every choice, every habit, it's doing the same thing. It's literally sculpting your brain's structure.
Like mental weightlifting.
Kind of, yeah. And here's the quantum link Barlow makes. She says focusing your attention isn't just thinking hard. It's like an act of quantum observation. You're actively collapsing all those potential thoughts, those potential brain pathways into one single reality. You're shaping your brain moment by moment.
That's wow. Our attention as a sculptor. That's a powerful image.
So if our brains can rewire like that, how does Barlow say we use this for something like fear? Fear feels so primal, so hard to shift.
Oh, it definitely feels primal because, well, it is. It's an ancient survival mechanism, right? Run by the amygdala, mostly. Your brain's alarm system.
Always scanning for danger.
Constantly. Looking for threats, real or just perceived. And it triggers that fight or flight response. Life-saving if a lion jumps out, but...
Less helpful when giving a presentation.
Exactly. It misfires in modern life. Sees public speaking or a job interview as a massive threat. And over time, you get fear conditioning. Those pathways get really strong. You know, like that public speaking anxiety from one bad experience years ago. Or avoiding a food you got sick on once.
Yeah, definitely. And then cognitive biases, like our tendency to focus on the negativity bias. They just amplify it all. Failures feel bigger than successes.
So it seems like we're wired for fear. How do we rewire for courage?
Well, the really hopeful message from Barlow is this. Courage isn't not feeling fear. It's being able to act even when you feel it.
Okay.
And it's a skill you can train. Your prefrontal cortex, the PFC, your brain's CEO, it can learn to manage the amygdala, to regulate it. Think about exposure therapy for phobias. It's not just facing your fear. Neurologically, it's repeatedly getting the PFC to calm the amygdala down. weakening those old fear pathways. The brain basically learns, okay, this situation isn't actually fatal, and courage starts to grow.
And you mentioned the anterior cingulate cortex, the ACC. It helps push through discomfort.
Absolutely. The ACC is like your brain's conflict monitor. It notices when fear is clashing with your goals. So when you decide to speak up in that meeting, even though you're scared of being judged, the ACC helps you manage that internal struggle. It reinforces being brave.
Okay, and the quantum angle here. How does reframing fit in?
Right. From Barlow's quantum view, fear is like a probabilistic state, a cloud of negative what-ifs. By actively reframing it, like seeing that interview not as a terrifying test, but as a chance to show what you can do, you change the internal context. That engages your PFC more strongly, tells the amygdala to chill out a bit, and fosters boldness. You're consciously collapsing the possibilities away from fear dominates towards action despite fear.
That brings us back really nicely to context. You called it the invisible scaffolding. How do we actually use that idea in everyday decisions?
It really is like scaffolding, yeah.
Yeah.
It holds everything up, but you don't always see it. It's your internal state, mood, beliefs, memories, and also external stuff, your environment, the people around you, subtle cues. And quantum contextuality says there's no right decision floating out there on its own. Decisions exist in superposition, remember. Multiple outcomes possible. Until you observe, until you choose, by focusing your attention within a certain context. Change the context, change the frame, and you can literally change the reality of the decision's outcome.
But we get stuck, right? Cognitive biases.
Oh, definitely. They lock us into narrow context without us even realizing it. Big obstacle. But Barlow gives tools to break free, like confirmation bias. We all do this. Look for info that proves us right.
Yes.
Ignore stuff that contradicts us.
Guilty.
We all are.
Yeah.
So Barlow suggests perspective expansion. You deliberately, consciously list evidence against your initial assumption. Imagine Sarah, the manager. She thinks the market's totally saturated for her product. Instead of just sticking with that, she forces herself to list, say, new companies doing well, or niche demands popping up, or features that could make her product stand out.
Actively looking for the counterarguments.
Exactly. It literally forces different neural pathways to fire. Opens up possibilities. Maybe leads to a launch after all.
Okay, what else? Anchoring.
Yeah, the anchoring effect. Getting stuck on the first piece of info you hear, like the first price offered in a negotiation. Barlow says use multiple anchor exploration. Before deciding, actively research alternatives. Find different benchmarks. Think of John getting a job offer. Instead of just reacting to that first number, he researches industry averages, what his skills are worth elsewhere, maybe even what he ideally wants.
So he creates a broader context for himself.
Right. Gives him more power in the negotiation. And then there's the availability heuristic. We overestimate things that are easy to recall, vivid memories.
Like fearing flying because you vividly remember news about a crash, even though statistically it's super safe.
Perfect example. Barlow's counter is data-driven contextualization. You balance those vivid, maybe scary memories with objective facts. Like Emma, who bombed a presentation once and became terrified of public speaking. She could actively research success rates for speakers, practice in really small, safe settings, basically gathering new data points to shift her internal context away from that one disaster towards most talks go fine and I'm improving.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, consciously managing our context. Now, what about goals? We all have aspirations, big dreams maybe, but making them happen, that gap can feel huge. How does mental contrasting help?
Mental contrasting. Or WHOOP WISH, outcome obstacle plan. This is a really practical, science-backed technique from Gabriel Oettingen that Barlow folds in beautifully. It's powerful because it nails that balance between being optimistic and being realistic. It's not just wishful thinking.
How so? You mentioned pure optimism can backfire.
Yeah, sometimes just visualizing success can trick your brain. Barlow calls it fantasy realization. Your brain sort of ticks the box, thinks job done, and your actual motivation can drop. Weird, right?
Huh. Yeah, that is counterintuitive.
So WHOOP avoids that. You start with the wish. Then you vividly imagine the best outcome. Feel it. That engages the reward system, gives you that dopamine hit, the motivation.
Okay, the positive bit.
Right. But then you switch gears. You identify the main obstacle within you that could stop you. What's the internal barrier? Self-doubt, procrastination. Identifying the obstacle fires up your prefrontal cortex, gets it into planning, problem-solving mode.
So it's energized and prepared.
Exactly. And the final step is the plan, specifically an if-then plan. If obstacle arises, then I will action to overcome it. Like, if I feel like procrastinating on that report, then I will work on it for just 15 minutes. That little plan creates a strong neural link. It makes the desired response more automatic when the obstacle pops up.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Barlow uses Raj, a software dev wanting to become a leader. His wish, lead a team. Outcome, feeling proud, successful project. Obstacle, serious self-doubt, feeling unskilled in leadership. His plan involved if-thens like, if I feel overwhelmed by a new leadership concept, then I'll spend 30 minutes reviewing just that. Or if I hesitate to speak in a meeting, then I'll make just one clear point.
Very specific.
Super specific. And that combo, the exciting vision plus the concrete plans for the hurdles, that's what rewires the brain.
Yeah.
Raj actually got promoted. It works.
Okay, so we're making decisions better, setting goals effectively, but life throws curveballs. Success isn't smooth. How does this quantum psychology approach help build resilience, that ability to bounce back?
Resilience is key, definitely. And it's not just grit, it's a neurobiological process. Your brain learns to handle stress better. The PFC, your prefrontal cortex, helps regulate the stress response, keep calm. The hippocampus helps put challenges in perspective. Is this really a disaster? The ACC helps you be flexible, pivot when things go wrong.
And we can strengthen these areas.
Yeah. Things like mindfulness practice have been shown to literally increase gray matter in these exact brain regions. You can build a more resilient brain. Barlow also talks about grit, that passion and perseverance for long-term goals, and adaptability, being able to adjust to change. Both are trainable. You rewire them. And small wins, micro wins are important. They give you those little dopamine hits that reinforce the effort, keep you going.
And the quantum angle on resilience.
Barlow calls it entangled growth. Remember entanglement. Thoughts, emotions, actions, all linked. When you face a setback, you can choose your mindset. Instead of thinking, I'm a failure, which entangles negative feelings in an action, you can consciously choose, okay, this is tough, but what can I learn? How can I adapt? That thought entangles more positive, or at least neutral, emotions with proactive steps. It rewires your brain towards adaptability. You're collapsing the setback into a learning opportunity, not a dead end.
That makes sense, shifting the entanglement. Now, you also touched on relationships being critical, the social brain. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, the human brain is fundamentally social. It didn't evolve in isolation. Our interactions literally shape its structure and function. Barlow points to things like mirror neurons. These brain cells fire both when we do an action and when we see someone else do it. They're key for empathy, understanding others, learning by watching.
Feeling what others feel, almost.
Kind of, yeah. Then there's oxytocin, the bonding hormone or trust hormone, released during positive social stuff, cooperation, hugs, even just a friendly chat. It reduces stress, builds connection, feels good. And the TQJ, temporoparietal junction. That helps with theory of mind, figuring out what other people are thinking, believing, intending, crucial for navigating social situations.
So our brains are wired for action. How does that relate to success and decision-making?
Well, think about social contagion. Attitudes, behaviors, even stress levels can spread through a group. Barlow emphasizes deliberately building a success-driven community.
Surrounding yourself with supportive, growth-oriented people.
Exactly. And practicing reciprocity, helping others, sharing knowledge without keeping score. That builds trust, releases oxytocin, strengthens the whole network. And in teams, psychological safety is massive. When people feel safe to speak up, disagree, make mistakes without blame.
The fear level goes down.
Right. Less amygdala hijacking. That frees up the PFC and TPJ to work better, integrate different perspectives, and make smarter, bolder, collective decisions. It's collaborative quantum observation in a way.
Okay, so we've covered decision-making, goals, resilience, social stuff. What about peak performance, innovation? How does the quantum brain help us be creative or get in the zone?
Great question. Creativity, from a neuroscience view, isn't one thing. It's this dynamic interplay between different brain networks. There's the default mode network, DMN. That's active when your mind wanders, daydreams. It's where lots of spontaneous novel ideas often bubble up divergent thinking.
The aha moments in the shower.
Pretty much. Then you have the executive control network, ECN. That's more focused, analytical. It takes those raw ideas and evaluates them, refines them, convergent thinking. And the salience network is like the conductor. It switches your attention between the DMN's wandering and the ECN's focus.
Yeah.
Helps you notice a good idea when it pops up.
And how does quantum psychology see this? Entanglement again?
You got it. Quantum entanglement in idea generation. Ideas don't just appear randomly. They're entangled with your emotions, memories, your environment. Feeling positive, that boosts dopamine, fires up the DMN more creative juice. And Barlow suggests diversifying your experiences, like that software dev taking pottery.
Right, enriching the memory network.
Exactly. Gives your brain more interesting bits and pieces to entangle, to connect in new ways. Ideas exist in that superposition state until you focus and collapse them into a concrete concept or solution.
Okay, and flow state, being in the zone. What's happening in the brain then?
Flow is this amazing state of neural harmony, right? Yeah. Effortless action, deep focus. Neuroscientifically, a key thing is transient hypofrontality. Meaning parts of your prefrontal cortex, the bit that plans, critiques, worries about what others think, actually quiet down temporarily.
So the inner critic shuts up.
Basically, yeah. Less self-consciousness, less overthinking. Frees up mental resources. At the same time, the DMN, mind-wandering network, is suppressed, so you're not distracted. But the salience network is highly active, keeping you locked onto the task. Laser focus.
How do we get there more often?
Barlow emphasizes the challenge skill sweet spot. The task needs to stretch you, but not overwhelm you. Too easy, you're bored. Too hard, you're anxious. Find that balance. That sweet spot optimizes neurotransmitters, like norepinephrine keeps you alert, but not stressed. Like a programmer hitting just the right level of code complexity.
Makes sense. Any practical tips?
Yeah, Barlow suggests using a pre-flow ritual. Could be simple few deep breaths, stretching, reviewing goals. It primes your brain. And post-flow journaling. After you've been in flow, reflect on what worked, what didn't. Helps you understand your own triggers and conditions for flow, making it easier to access next time.
Okay, this is all great for moving forward, but what about when things go wrong? Failure? Nobody likes it. Barlow argues our response is critical. How do we rewire that deep aversion?
Yeah, failure stings. Neurologically, the amygdala flags it as a threat. Social rejection, making a mistake can activate pain circuits. Dopamine drops, you feel bad. And then biases like negativity bias or catastrophizing, this is a disaster, make it feel even worse. It's a natural reaction.
But not necessarily a helpful one for success.
Not at all. So Barlow brings back the power of reframing. This is a conscious choice, an act of quantum observation on the failure itself. You use your PFC to regulate that amygdala freakout. You shift your perspective, turn the setback into data. This is classic growth mindset stuff, seeing abilities as changeable, not fixed.
And the quantum view, failure and superposition.
Exactly. When failure happens, multiple outcomes are possible: despair, stagnation, or growth. They're all potentials, until you choose how to respond. By reframing, what can I learn here? You entangle the failure with learning, with future action. You collapse the possibility towards growth, not defeat.
How do we do that systematically?
Barlow suggests a growth cycle. Step 1, pause and reflect. Maybe journal about what happened, but objectively. No blaming, just the facts. Step 2, extract actionable insights. What are the specific lessons? What could be done differently? Step 3, test and apply lessons. Try out those insights, maybe in a low-risk way first. Step 4, review and iterate. Did the changes work? What adjustments are needed? Keep the cycle going.
Can you give an example for this too?
Sure, remember Raj, the founder whose product launch flopped. Instead of giving up, he reframed. He saw the flop as market research, not personal failure. He paused, analyzed why it flopped, besides redesigned based on that feedback, applied lessons, and relaunched later, successfully iterated. The failure became a crucial stepping stone.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot. Building courage, better decisions, goals, resilience, connection, creativity, flow, handling failure. How do we make all this stick? How do we sustain success in a world that's constantly shifting?
That's the ultimate goal, right? Sustained success. And Barlow argues it requires a brain built for ongoing adaptation. It means continuous learning, keeping those hippocampus and PFC connections strong, regular reflection, using the DMN to integrate experiences, and maintaining motivation, keeping that dopamine flowing from progress.
What does that look like in practice?
Barlow suggests things like embracing continuous learning, actively schedule time each week or month to learn something new relevant to your field or goals. Also, monitoring and adjusting goals. Don't just set goals and forget them. Review them quarterly, maybe using WUP again to make sure they still make sense, still excite you. And practicing proactive resilience. Don't wait for disaster. Think ahead. What challenges might come up? Brainstorm potential solutions now. Builds mental preparedness.
And it's not just about personal success, is it? You mentioned legacy.
Right. For Barlow, sustained success often involves creating a lasting legacy. This isn't just about money or fame. It's about aligning what you do with a deeper purpose. It's about mentoring others, maybe. Creating impact that scales beyond you. Documenting what you've learned to help others.
And the quantum connection here, entangled evolution.
Yeah, entangled evolution. Your goals, your actions, your relationships, they're all interconnected, constantly evolving together, shaping your path. By consciously choosing a dynamic context, one focused on growth, contribution, learning plast, you entangle your efforts with ongoing progress. You collapse your future possibilities toward a legacy of impact. Like Maya, the social entrepreneur. Funding cuts hit her nonprofit. She didn't just react, she adapted proactively, learned grant writing, changed programs, mentored new leaders.
So she evolved and her impact evolved with her.
Exactly. Her nonprofit thrived, creating lasting change. That's entangled evolution in action.
What an absolutely incredible journey through Lesley Barlow's quantum psychology. We started with neuroplasticity, the idea of the mind as a quantum system. Wow. Then we went through breaking free from fear, using context for decisions, mastering WOOP for goals, building resilience, the social brain, creativity, flow, reframing failure, and finally sustaining it all, creating a legacy. It really covers the whole spectrum.
It really does, and that core message is just so empowering, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your mind isn't fixed. It operates like this quantum system, and you have the power to shape your reality through your choices. Every choice is an act of quantum observation, collapsing those infinite possibilities into your actual lived experience.
Yeah, and it's crucial to remember these tools, these concepts, they aren't magic bullets. They're habits, daily practices that literally, physically rewire your brain over time for success, for adaptability. We really hope you'll dig into Barlow's book, try out some of the exercises.
Definitely. And maybe leave you with this final thought to chew on. Your quantum future. It's not some far-off dream. It starts right now, with the very next choice you make. So what possibility would you choose to collapse into reality today?
Go forward with that courage, that clarity, that conviction. Let your amazing rewired brain light the way.